This is Robert Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the MicroCap Conference 2015 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. With me right now is Dan Hilton from DataWind. The symbol is DW, and that's on the TSX. Dan, welcome back to SNNLive.
Second time, glad to be here. It's a lot of changes in the last year, so happy to share some of that with you.
I'm very excited to hear all of them, but first, let's get an overview of DataWind.
Sure. So DataWind has a unique technology, proprietary. We have 18 patents throughout Canada, the United States, Europe, China, India. Essentially, what we do is we have a unique way of delivering the internet that only uses 1/30th the data. So you can imagine, typical service, you want to access the internet. You're trying to push a lot of material. The average website today is about 1.7 megabytes in size. And so to push that down some of these, 2G pipes that you have in rural parts of the world, it just can't happen. A web page will take 6 minutes to download. So because we can compress it by 30 times, we can deliver a full, rich internet experience on a 2G network in emerging markets in 2 to 3 seconds per page. And we do it essentially at 1/30th the cost as well. So that's the second benefit. So the two hurdles that people would traditionally have in emerging markets, these 4 billion people who aren't on the internet, we overcome because we use much less data. It's affordable, and now we can push it down the existing infrastructure without having to spend millions of dollars on drones or hot air balloons or any other concoction of solutions that might come about, but that are very capital intensive.
The last time we spoke with Raja was about, I think it was December last year.
That's right.
So what's been going on in the company since?
A lot of changes over the last years. You can imagine we still continue to grow at 13 to 15% quarter on quarter. We're now growing at a subscription rate of 80,000 people per month. And when I talk about a subscription rate, we're actually selling the complete solution. We sell a tablet or a smartphone coupled with a year's worth of internet, which is a $6 value. That's the cost that we charge the end consumer. And we're doing that at 80,000 person per month pace at the moment. So, continued great growth. We've announced multiple carriers since the last time we spoke. We have some of the largest carriers in India, Reliance, Telenor. We have a few more that we're negotiating with that we'll be announcing shortly, as well as some announcements for expansion into South Africa, Nigeria, Latin America. So it's much more now than just a India story. It's certainly an emerging market story, and so we're excited to continue to grow.
So I know Shelley probably talked about this in the last interview, but I wanted to go over it again because I was just in some emerging markets countries where I was trying to use the internet, but it was incredibly slow.
Sure.
And I'm connected to the Wi-Fi and trying to get my text message to whoever.
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain exactly how the technology works? So let's say I'm going to visit India and I wanted to connect to the internet with my phone.
Sure.
Is that your technology that I'm using?
So what we do is we actually buy data from the carriers, and we actually rely on a cloud server solution to take the heavy lifting off the internet delivery that would happen at the end consumer, at the smartphone or at the tablet. And so what would happen is, under our methodology, is you would, it's a software solution, but instead of going onto the internet and actually going to a Yahoo or a CNN or a BNN page, you get redirected to our servers. Our servers do all that heavy lifting for you. So they would go back to that main website that you're trying to get to, take a snapshot of it, pixel for pixel, we send you a picture of that internet experience to our device, which really doesn't need to be any more powerful than a digital picture frame, to be honest. It looks like you're on the internet, but you're not really on the internet. The internet is running on our servers in North America, but we allow you to interact with that through these static images. So what we don't deliver is video. Any kind of streaming kind of video is something that our solution doesn't provide. But every other website works perfectly. So you can email, you can do social media, get on Wikipedia. It's an educational tool. It's a news information tool. So it really is a powerful new device for people that otherwise wouldn't have it in these emerging markets. Can you imagine education in a country like India? There's 150 million kids don't go to school just because there aren't enough teachers. If you can get a product like the internet in front of them, they can teach themselves.
And my question is also on the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like these are big markets that I'm sure a lot of competitors want to take, put their foot in.
Sure.
So how do you guys compete in the market?
So I think you have to look at our businesses in two different components. We have a hardware component and we have the digital delivery of the internet. So on the hardware side, there's many people now starting to deliver low-cost tablets and smartphones in the emerging markets. We're happy to let them push that hardware sale out. We have no IP in the hardware side. So if there's a cheaper provider of hardware, we'll buy it from them, and resell it as part of our package. On the data side, this unique delivery method, there's nobody competing with us. There are others that, would claim to compress 10, 20%, but nobody 30 times. I mean, we only use 3% of the data to deliver that experience. And so I think the real competitors longer term, are the Googles and the Facebooks and the Microsofts, the big players who are looking at whether it's low Earth orbit satellites or hot air balloons. But these are all very capital intensive and years off. So I think for the moment, we've got a great little captive audience to go after, and it just happens to be 4 billion people.
So what are some of the growth drivers for the business? Obviously, I'm thinking more emerging markets, but care to comment on that?
Well, there's a number of avenues that the company is going to grow. We don't know what the demand for the product looks like yet. Everything that we produce today gets gobbled up by the marketplace. And so for us, working capital is our biggest constraint. If we had more working capital, we could certainly grow faster. The market's shown an intent to take more. But over time, there's a number of things that we started to do that decouple our software solution from the hardware. And so over the next couple of quarters, you should hear announcements from us announcing the standalone browser as a tool on its own. So we'll be selling that, and that'll allow us to grow in multiple markets without having to worry about the additional costs, the capital outlay that you have when you're in the hardware space. And we'll grow significantly faster as well.
So I want to ask you about milestones. From what you can tell me, what are some of the goals and aspirations that the company is looking to achieve?
Sure. By and large, we're just trying to grow as fast as we can. We'll be through our millionth subscriber within the next quarter or so. That will be a great milestone for us. Getting through EBITDA break-even is something that should happen in the current quarter. We'll be excited to announce that shortly. And then, of course, cash flow break-even in another quarter to two. Once our top line gets to around $15.5 million, we should be fully cash flow positive. And, of course, we'll just reinvest that money and grow as fast as we can.
And where can our investor audience go and find more information about DataWind?
Sure. I think they can always reach out to me, but certainly our website is www.DataWind.com, and more than happy to answer any questions, and appreciate the time.
Thank you. My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the MicroCap Conference 2015 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. With me again has been Dan Hilton from DataWind. The symbol is DW on the TSX. Dan, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks very much.